The sea stretched endlessly beneath them, a floating city moving silently across the Atlantic. Before we continue, please take some time to subscribe to Dailydose, like, and share this video. Violet stood on the top deck of the aircraft carrier, the wind slicing past her face, eyes locked on the horizon. She had no idea that within the next few days, her entire world would be flipped upside down. What started as a routine mission would soon unravel into a tangled web of betrayal, surveillance, and secrets so dangerous they could ignite global conflict. For weeks, Violet and Greg had worked side by side, prepping fighter jets and performing last-minute fixes under the relentless sun. The carrier was transporting classified aircraft from Ireland to the United States, and while the mission sounded straightforward, the strange security protocols and limited information had everyone on edge. Nobody knew exactly what kind of aircraft they were escorting. Even the commanding officers kept their lips sealed. Violet trusted Greg. He was sharp, always focused, and good at making her laugh during long night shifts. But recently, even he seemed uneasy, more distracted than usual. And when rumors began spreading among the crew about mysterious noises below deck, Violet couldn't shake the feeling that something was off. At night, when the ship should have been silent, Violet had started hearing metal clanging together, followed by a faint tapping sound. It wasn't wind, it wasn't machinery, it was deliberate. She brought it up to Greg, expecting a laugh, but instead, his eyes darkened. "I've heard it too," he whispered. That night, they decided to break protocol. After lights out, when the halls fell quiet and the ship's strict curfew went into effect, Violet and Greg met at the rear stairwell. It was risky. Men and women weren't even allowed in each other's quarters, let alone roaming unsupervised at night. If they were caught, they'd be written up or worse, relieved of duty. Violet arrived first, her heart thudding as footsteps echoed toward the door. She pressed against the wall, breath held, praying it wasn't a superior. The handle turned slowly, and she prepared to bolt. But it was Greg. He looked just as tense. Then it happened again, that distant metallic tapping. It was faint, like Morse code. Without a word, they started moving. Each flight of stairs brought them deeper into the belly of the ship, but the sound always stayed just out of reach. After 10 decks, Violet stopped. "Something's not right," she whispered. "Let's go back." Greg nodded reluctantly. They split up. She returned to her quarters, while Greg continued downward alone. The next morning, Greg was gone. He wasn't at his usual post. His tools were missing. When Violet asked her commanding officer, the reply was curt. "Greg has been reassigned. That's all you need to know." But reassigned where? On a carrier this size, news traveled fast, and nobody else seemed to know where Greg had gone. The silence was alarming. Later that day, during her lunch break, Violet ventured below deck again. 10 flights down, she heard it. The code. She froze, then realized the message was clear. "Prepare for impact." Suddenly, the air alarm blared. Red lights lit up the corridors, and the emergency sirens screamed through the vessel. Violet sprinted to the top deck. Everyone had scrambled to their jets. Takeoff orders were imminent. But on the horizon, something was coming fast. Something small, black, and growing larger by the second. Violet's heart raced. That wasn't just any aircraft. She'd seen that model before. It had been sitting on the dock just the day before, prepped for loading. Why was it airborne? Was this part of a security drill? Violet climbed into her fighter. Her headset crackled. "All pilots, stand by for takeoff. Await further orders." The stillness before action was agonizing. As the object neared, the sky filled with tension. The aircraft carrier's system scanned the incoming craft but couldn't identify it. Violet's eyes locked on it. It was moving too erratically for a drill. Suddenly, her radio hissed. Then a voice. Broken. Distorted. "Violet, it's me. Greg." Violet froze. Her breath caught in her throat. That voice, scrambled through static and digital noise, was unmistakably Greg's. "Greg?" she whispered into her mic, heart thundering. "Where are you? What's going on?" No reply. The radio hissed again, then silence. The unidentified aircraft was now close enough to cast a shadow over the carrier. It wasn't just any stealth jet. It was a modified version of the same classified model they were escorting. Only this one wasn't part of their fleet, and it was armed. Alarms screamed across the ship. Deckhands scrambled. Anti-aircraft turrets locked on the intruder. "Object is non-responsive. Authorization to engage." A voice rang out over the intercom. Violet's blood went cold. She punched the throttle and lifted off the deck in a vertical climb, her jet roaring into the sky. Within seconds, she was tailing the intruder. Her targeting system locked in, but she hesitated. What if Greg was really in there? "Greg, respond! Please!" she shouted again, pushing her headset deeper. "You're scaring the hell out of me!" And then it came. A new transmission, clearer this time and full of panic. "They lied to us, Violet. This whole mission, it's not what it seems. That building, Fort Echo, it's not abandoned. It's a vault filled with stolen tech and secrets they'd kill to protect." Her heart pounded in her chest. She remembered the cannons, the tarps, the fusion of old and new hidden deep in that building she'd dismissed as some historical relic. "Why are you flying that jet?" she cried. "Because they tried to erase me." Greg's voice cracked. "I found out too much. They'll silence anyone who gets close to the truth." Suddenly, warning lights flashed across Violet's console. Another fighter from their fleet had locked onto Greg's aircraft. She had seconds to act. Her mind raced. Disobeying orders would mean her career, maybe even her life. But letting them shoot Greg down... She flipped the override switch. "No one's firing on him until I get answers," she muttered.